Okay, thank you. It's a new message there. Yeah. All right. Welcome everyone to the first meeting of the Baltimore County Delegation in the 2025 legislative session. Happy to have you all here today. We're going to dispense with some business right off the top. We need to reestablish our officers. And so I'm looking to the delegation for nominations. I recognize Delegate Alethea McCaskill.
Be you ready? I didn't even raise my hand. Well, all right. Let's okay this content up here. Good morning, family. To those I have not seen, Happy New Year. Chief McCullough and your staff. I did get to see you, Chief McCullough. So Happy New Year to you all. Thank you all for being here. I am nominating the slate of Delegate Eversalt, Delegate called for for chair, Delegate Paul Jackson for vice chair, and again, the wonderful Delegate Pastor for the recording secretary.
Thank you for that. I don't know if that makes it official now. You know, maybe that guy, I don't know where that guy is.
I don't know if we need to, go into this long spiel, but what I will say is the three of them have been persistent and have done a tremendous job leading us thus far with their continued leadership as we move towards, making sure that we do the good work for the residents of Baltimore County.
Okay, thank you for your nomination. Do I have a second? I'm going to turn to Delegate Forbes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I second the nomination. I agree with I appreciate your leadership and Delegate Jackson's and Delegate Pastor's and your willingness to take on this extra duty during session. So I second the nomination.
Thank you very much. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor of this slate for the officers for Baltimore County Delegation, signify by just raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
And if there are any opposed, put your hand up in the way you do. That's not Delegate McCaskill voting against me. I'm certain. Thank you. Okay, so it carries unanimously. We have our officers. Next order of business is just to introduce a few people real quick to you here who come here to service us. First, we are delighted to have the highly talented and pleasant Charity Scott as our counsel. You can turn to her to help with delegation issues if you have amendments or questions about the legality of or the impact of a given bill. Remember she has other duties, but she's really quite adept. So she tends to be on the fallacy. The problem she has is she's too good at her job, so it's easy to bother her. We'll try to keep it light for her if we can. We also have this year from Baltimore County representing the county government. We have Amanda Carr, who we've dealt with for a number of years, and she's quite effective. And a new person, I'm gonna give this a shot, Amanda. I tried to call you this morning. Kayenda Wasiga. 90%?
You got the first name. It's Kayenda Twesigi.
Oh, okay. Somebody, I'm firing a staff member. Okay, it's done. All right.
Good morning.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very sorry, but Kayenda is here, and I think is she in one of the Hollywood squares here? Okay, thanks. We can find her if you want to look for her. In addition to that, I think that's everybody I needed to introduce right now. What we're going to do is, since the chief is here and right on time, we have some things that we'll do that is sort of, a house cleaning and talking about how we operate. But he and his staff don't have to sit here and listen to that. So we'll let him do his presentation. We'll ask our questions, and then we'll reiterate a few things that you all kind of know because all of us that are here had been there before. And that will also save, I know that I have two senators online from having to listen to the more mundane, and we can listen to chief. So with that, I'm happy to introduce the Baltimore County Chief of Police, Robert McCullough, along with some of his support staff here today to talk to us for a little bit about what's going on in the police office, and also to tell us what some of their concerns and things that they're paying attention to are. So with that, Chief McCullough, pleasure to have you here today. You have the floor.
Good morning. I want to say good morning to the entire delegation, and thank you for having me and my staff in for this meeting. I'm going to go around the table real quick and let everyone at the table introduce themselves real quick. Colonel, we'll start with you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Colonel Chris Kelly. I'm the Chief of the Operations Bureau for the Baltimore County Police Department, and thank you all for joining us this morning.
Good morning, everybody.
I'm Major Mike Cortez. I'm the Executive Officer for the Criminal Investigations Bureau for Baltimore County Police Department.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Sergeant Christopher Smith. I'm the Administrative Sergeant assigned to the Chief's Office.
Good morning, everyone. Sean Benson, the Sergeant and part of the legal section.
And Meg, you're up next.
Yes, sir. Meg Ferguson, Senior Policy Advisor and Director of the Legal Section for the Police Department.
And I want to start out by, first of all, thanking the entire delegation for your continued support, not only of me individually, but the department and our members collectively. We appreciate everything that you guys do in Annapolis and everything that you guys do in the community, and the incredible support that we get from you and everything that we do, including the community events, community meetings, and even when high-profile things are going on, most of you are there, standing next to us and supporting us and offering us any assistance that you can to help us get through those situations. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the support that you guys have been giving us. I'm going to jump right into the crime and some of the things that we've seen. Recently, we had a mass shooting in Towson. We also had a domestic homicide in Rosedale, in which many of you were on the scene and supported us. And just to bring you up to speed on the mass shooting that occurred in Towson, in which one subject was killed. Another 8 others were actually shot, and one gentleman just simply had a head injury. We continue to work that investigation, and while publicly we can't reveal all the behind-the-scene details, we continue to make great strides and to make progress in that case. And I assure you that our investigators, our agency, is not only our agency, but we'll work with all our regional partners to solve that case. So we continue to work on that. Many of you saw the Christmas Eve domestic shooting that occurred in Rosedale, which a gentleman shot his girlfriend and his 2 children. Of course, we arrested and charged him, and of course we provided the victims in that case as much support as we can throughout that process, including our officers who, the community was traumatized by it, but our officers were traumatized also by that event. So we continue to provide support to the community and to our officers. And of course, many of you know we have a work group on domestic violence in Baltimore County, which Henry Caligari heads up, and I'm actually a member of that committee. We continue to look at domestic violence in Baltimore County and look at strategies and the way things that we could do, and looking at our processes and looking to better serve our community. Unfortunately, in the history of Baltimore County, many of our homicides are domestic related, and it's just a fact, and it's something that we need to continue to work on, and it's something that I'm going to make a priority of ours in the Baltimore County Police Department, to make sure that we're taking a closer look at these circumstances and situations. And many times there's nothing that we can do, but when there's repeat calls for service, those households, those families, those situations should be on our radar, and we're going to make it a priority. Just in terms of crime stats for the year, I'm going to first talk about 2024. So we ended 2024 with overall crime being down. In terms of homicides, we had 28 homicides compared to 29 homicides the previous year. We had 75 non-fatal shootings compared to 65 in 2023. However, we had 76 non-fatal shootings in 2022. We were doing pretty good going into December in terms of non-fatal shootings. And of course, we had the incident with the 10 persons. And then, of course, when we had the incident in Rosedale involving the family, that drove our numbers above what our numbers were. If we didn't have those simple 2 incidents, we would have ended the year below 2023's numbers. In terms of robberies down in Baltimore County, carjackings down in Baltimore County, assault is up in Baltimore County. However, burglary and vehicle theft are also down in Baltimore County. We continue to see issues with juveniles. Juveniles still drive much of the crime in Baltimore County, whether it's car theft, or whether it's just theft in general or assault. We see many of our crimes driven by juveniles. It still continues to be an issue, just to let you know. And like I said, the bulk of our crimes involve auto theft, carjackings, and burglary also. I want to thank you all for last year's changes in the juvenile laws, the support, much of the spirited conversation that we had around that. Also, the passing of the Glock switch bill and the catalytic converter theft law changes that were made. There still needs to be more attention given to topics like the juvenile interrogation law. I won't get into that here, but I think it's something at some point. There may not be an appetite to revisit that this year, but there still needs to be some conversation had around that, and we're having conversations at the Maryland Chiefs, and even actually on the national level and major cities chiefs about this issue. We also still need to address things like for kids 10 to 12 years old, threats of mass violence and arson and malicious burning. They're topics that we need to revisit. We continue as an agency. We have our continued efforts on police reform, accountability, and the revisions and improvements that we've made to our internal affairs section. We've revised our internal affairs policies and our internal affairs processes to meet the changes in the laws and to provide a better service to our community. We've added staff to our internal affairs, and in addition to that, we've even added command staff to internal affairs because of the increased workload and volume of complaints in internal affairs. We have to add not only staff at the investigative level, we have to add staff at the top to make sure that we're reviewing and getting through these cases in a timely fashion. We continue to evaluate our policies and examine the laws related to our internal affairs process. We do have concerns as it relates to discipline, time limits, and statute of limitations. Meg Ferguson, who sits on the legal advisory committee for the Maryland Chiefs, her and Ernie Wrights in our office, they're working with that committee to address those adjustments that need to be made in not only in policy and law, but also in the actual overall disciplinary matrix as it relates to police officers. Some of the other issues that we see on the internal affairs side and with the matrix is issues with the body-worn camera. For example, an officer can be allowed to miss court under the current system. They can miss court, but if they fail to cut their body-worn camera on just one time, they're disciplined for that. And if you can imagine being a police officer and responding to thousands of calls and potentially hundreds of thousands of calls over a career, and you can imagine just that one time being disciplined for forgetting to cut your body-worn camera on, but yet you can get a free bite of the apple for missing court. So we need to make some adjustments there. Also, departmental crashes are bogging down the ACC, the Administrative Charging Committee. Much of the discipline that they're looking at involves simple departmental crashes by officers. It's something that we always were very effective at dealing with. As an agency, there was no problem there. So there's some thought that maybe that's something that we could better deal with internally rather than dealing on the state matrix, or make some adjustments there. And I've talked about court. The county and our former county executive, Johnny Oshesky, they supported us in moving our internal affairs section outside of the police department. So we've moved to a different location that's more accessible to the public, where the public can come and go and make complaints or come in and be interviewed as witnesses without being exposed to our public safety building or possibly running into officers that may be accused or witnesses in their case. We continue to work on our use of force training for the entire department and making sure that we ensure legal compliance as an agency, and de-escalation and training related to that continues to be at the center of what we do as a police department. Like I said, we're ensured all complaints are documented at a certain central location in our internal affairs section. That process is institutionalized across the entire agency, so that nothing's slipping through the cracks. We continue to examine all our policies to ensure they meet expectation of our residents and our greater community. And of course, we continue to post our policies, making them public to our community. Training and education continue to be a priority of mine from the top down, making sure that my executive board down through our supervisors, through our officers, that we're providing not only quality training, but high-level training in trying to make our agency better. Hiring, recruitment, and retention continue to be a challenge, not only in our agency, but statewide and nationally in law enforcement. I will say that our agency is doing better than most. Our applications continue to be up about 35%. We're continue to not have a problem filling our classes. So we continue to move forward there, and we're doing everything that we can. I'm sure many of you have seen ads and different things out in the community, including down on the boardwalk in Ocean City for the Baltimore County Police Department. Community policing remains to be a top priority of our agency, and we continue to look at ways to modernize and to improve our community policing. In terms of legislative initiatives, we'll be talking about legislation later in the session, and look forward to working with the delegation through the county executive's office. And well, I'm sure we'll have additional conversations there. And I will definitely say that if you have legislation that you need support from me, or need support for me to come down and testify on, I will make myself available and I will be there for you. One of my favorite topics here is we have a new county executive. We're excited about working with former Senator Kathy Glassmeyer. She's always been a friend to the police department and a supporter of us. And we're excited about the transition. The transition is going well. And we look forward to working with you all through her. And we know she has extensive experience down there. I just want to thank the members of the legislation down there in Annapolis. Thank every last one of you. I appreciate, more than anything, I appreciate the dialogue that we have, the spirited conversations, and with some of you, even spirited debates sometimes. And just know that your police department is here for you. Individually, you can always reach out to me. I'm always available. You have my number. Whatever you need from us, we're here. And I wish you a very productive session. With that, I'm open for questions.
Chief, we thank you very much for your presentation. I like it that there was some good news in there. The one that there several things, but one stuck out to me is that in so many places we're having trouble filling positions and hiring people, but I've seen your ads and they are appropriately aggressive. Like, come on, get on. And I'm glad to hear that that's working. So thank you very much for presentation. We're going to go to some questions here. And I see that Delegate Grammer has his hand up, so I'm going to recognize him. Delegate Grammer, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for being here, Chief McCullough. I have one question. So we've persistently experienced problems along jurisdictional lines, particularly for the east side, Holabird and Dundalk Avenue, that intersection. We see a real lack of any kind of basic enforcement activity. It's been discussed over 5 years that this probable solution for this is that the county and the city could sign an agreement which allowed a little bit of flexibility with enforcement over the jurisdictional lines. Unfortunately, we've never that hasn't come to fruition. And I wanted to see if that's a topic or even a goal we could revisit with the new county executive, because it's anything from drug distribution to prostitution. There have recently been a robbery at the Royal Farms there, and I wanted to see if you could help us find a solution to that.
Delegate Grammer, I can tell you what I'll use as the best example is, if you remember, going back probably a little less than a year ago, there was an issue at that intersection with basically a tent city that was set up on this Baltimore City side, and it was a problem. Of course, we appropriately enforced the law on the Baltimore County side to the point that we didn't have that problem in Baltimore County, but it persisted in Baltimore City. And because of that location, many people think that part is in the city in the county when it's actually in the city. One of the things that happened was that County Executive Johnny Oshesky authored a letter to the city, prompting them to cooperate. Of course, we have a great relationship with the Southeastern District, and we try to work with the resources there, including the police department. But it wasn't until the county executive, the authority of the county executive got involved there that actually leveraged enough authority and enough power that actually forced the city to actually do something about that. And even after he did that, it still took them some time. It's a situation that we've monitored, that we continue to monitor. I can tell you personally myself, whenever I'm down that end of the county, which I'm very familiar with because it was the first place I worked when I came out of the academy, I drive through those neighborhoods, and unfortunately, those social problems still persist. I think we're all educated enough to know that it's not simply a police problem. It's more of an all hands on deck. It's a health department problem. It's all types of social services that are needed in that area, in that community, to actually deal with that problem down there. And of course, we all know too, anytime you have drug addiction, and especially if you have any types of treatment centers, or even if you have low-income housing, it attracts a certain type of clientele, and which contributes to that problem in that area.
And we're thankful for that. My concern is we shouldn't have to reach out to the county executive's office to get basic enforcement. And the real problem, frankly, is the median strip on the intersection of Dundalk and Holabird. Like, people will literally just stand there and deal drugs, and there's quite literally nothing you can do if you live in Baltimore County.
Yeah, we do. We drive through there. We try to, even though it's in the city, our officers drive through there. We try to discourage people from being out there. But of course, once again, it's in the city. What I will tell you that that same area has auto theft issues too. Fortunately, our regional auto theft task force had Baltimore City and Baltimore County officers, and I can tell you that our Baltimore County officers frequent that area. They try to discourage crime in that area because it's so close to the county line. But
Okay, thank you.
those things that maybe we need to sit down and talk to the city about, and maybe the mayor's office, and we can. I will have conversations with Commissioner Worley. I'll make sure I text him when I get out of this meeting and set up a meeting with him to have a conversation about that intersection in that area.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Senator Brooks, I saw your hand up and now it's back down, so I don't want to ignore you here.
Okay, thanks, Chair. Yeah, I lost my battery went dead on me, so I had to.
Well, there and you're back. Look, you got a tech workaround. Nicely done.
Okay,
Nicely done.
indeed. Well, thank you very much. Thanks, Chief, for the presentation. You said that the homicide was down. It was 28 this year and 29 last year. So that's about like a 3.4% reduction. And I think as of July, you had a clearance rate of about 63%, as opposed to the national average of about 50%. Yeah, so as of the end of the year, that clearance rate at still at that high percentage, or
I will tell you our clearance rate in 2023 was 75.9% for homicide, and for 2024 the rate was 71.4. But I can tell you it's higher than that because we've cleared a couple cases since then. So we're always well above 70% in our clearance rate when it comes to homicide and non-fatal shootings.
Right. Okay, that's awesome. And I also noticed, like, as of July 1, there were 11 homicides in Baltimore County, and by the end of the year, it had gone up to you said 28. So that was like a 17%. 11 during the first half of the year, and then 17 at the end of the year. Any idea why it would increase to that level?
We had a couple incidents where there were multiple homicides, multiple people that were killed. As I've said in the past, many of these homicides are drug related also. Many of them occur primarily driven by marijuana. A lot of these homicides are drug deals gone bad, where we see people that they set up a meet, and whether it's for marijuana or whether it's for some type of material goods, what we see is many times people are setting up meetings on Facebook Marketplace, and people advertise something, and an assailant will pose as a customer with the intent to rob that person. So one of the things that we've done is that we've encouraged our residents to try to meet at our police stations, to come to the police station to meet somebody. If you're going to purchase something from somebody, material goods, to meet in a public space, in an area where there's cameras, and preferably in the lot of the police station or at the police station if they can, to prevent these types of things from happening.
All right. Well, thanks, Chief. And just wanted to say we appreciate you, the Baltimore County Police Department, and the job that you're doing. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you so much. That's an excellent suggestion, by the way, the idea of using the proximity to a police department for the kind of changes for buy nothing and for various purchases of person to person. I think I'm going to take that one up and make sure that I publicize that. Delegate Bhandari, I see you have your hand up. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Chief, for your wonderful leadership. I know you highlighted the staffing challenges. We wonder what technological advancement or operational efficiencies like the predicting policing that your department is implementing, what we could do as a legislator to help you to expand the use of technology or community engagement tools to offset the staffing limitations.
Well, of course, we're always looking for ways to improve our staffing. We look to leverage technology. We're using improvements in technology even to help us in our hiring process and in our background investigation and the handling of our applications. We're improving there. But we're looking at utilizing technology. For example, we've expanded our Axon contract, and we're in areas where we have a lot of publicity about crime. I'm looking to start a drone as first responder program. So under our Axon contract, we have drones in the police department. So in Towson and also in Randallstown, we're looking to launch actually February the 1st. We're going to start moving forward with the program. We're going to be launching a drone as first responder program. So that just means that a drone for calls for service that meet our criteria, we will launch a drone from headquarters here in the public safety building, and it will be able to respond within minutes to an area, to review that area, to see what's going on in that area, and it can report back to what we have now. Technologically, we have what we call our info center. We have an information center where video can be streamed back, and we can evaluate what's going on, and we can stream that same video to the officers in their car, whether it's on their phone or whether it's on their computer, that they can see while they're responding to the call for service. Also, these drones also record. So if there's a crime in progress, if there's a carjacking, we're immediately getting vehicle information, we're getting suspect information, and all those things can help us additionally in investigating and clearing crimes. We're looking to do that. We're going to start in Towson and also in Randallstown around the area of Northwest Hospital.
Thank you.
Thank you. Delegate Nick Allen, how are you doing today? You have the floor.
I'm great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Chief and Colonel. Great to see you guys. And I also want to thank you for your leadership and everything in the aftermath of the shooting over in the Loch Raven area. On behalf of myself and Delegate Bundari, Delegate Jackson, Delegate Forbes, we really appreciate it. I do have a unrelated question. And I think we've touched on this a little bit before, but in regards to, there's been a lot of changes over the last few years that we've talked about in terms of the laws, especially around juvenile offenders and how those things are addressed and enforced. And I've been at a number of community association events where our community engagement officers, who are wonderful, are there, and they're kind of given a brief of what's happened lately in the area. And they'll talk about juvenile offenders and how they can't charge certain ones and all that. And and I'll talk with them afterwards and I'll say, well, how old were the offenders? And they'd be 16, 17, 18, like ones that definitely could and should be charged in these instances. So there seems to be a disconnect in between the kind of the on the ground knowledge and training for a lot of the officers. And like I said, I know there's been a lot of changes over the last few years. So I'm just curious if we've been able to kind of provide our officers with training and updates for what the current laws are and how we're approaching the juvenile crime stuff.
What I can tell you is we do it on several levels. So when there are changes, we put out bulletins to our officers, letting them know about that. In addition to that, we put it out in emails. We also do roll call training with them. But the critical thing is, in this time of year, we're just getting started out. Our exec board and senior supervision have already went, but we go to what we call in-service training. So throughout the year, our officers individually will get those legal updates in addition to everything that was put out in writing to them. The thing is, like you said, Delegate Allen, there has been a lot of changes. And anytime you have as much change as you have, and there's a lot of disjointedness in what you can enforce based upon the age limit and stuff. So one of the things that I believe firmly, and I'm doing this for 39 years of my life, I think that what we need to do is we really need to be responsible as a whole and sit down and look at the landscape, look at the laws. And we really, we have to ask yourself, if you're going to enforce the laws, and we're going to have our age range. So if we're going to enforce the laws for everyone from 10 years and older in our society, then we need to be able to enforce all of the laws and have it consistent so it's not confusing. Now, there's adjustments that can be made for those that we deem to be under 18 to juveniles, but we need to make sure that we have consistency across the board so that there's no confusion by anyone about what's right and what's wrong. Unfortunately, we live in a society where everything that used to be right is wrong and everything used to be wrong is right, and nobody knows. But I think we need to make some adjustments to fix that there. We earlier talked about technology. I continuously talk at Maryland Chiefs and even on the national level about one of the things we could do is that if we want consistency in law enforcement, we need to make sure that, like, we have a consistent disciplinary matrix across the state. One of the best things you guys could do at some point is we need to get together as a state and look at the report writing system for all of law enforcement. There's no reason why there should not be one report writing system for the entire state of Maryland that every police department uses, that could be all put into one database, and we could all go into one another's report writing systems and pull up reports, and it would actually make for more consistent, responsible and add accountability and integrity to the reporting process for law enforcement across the state.
That's really interesting. Thanks, Chief. Yeah, no, I'd like to talk to you more about that sometime. Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that question, Delegate Allen. Delegate Carden, nice to see you this morning.
Good to see you. Thank you.
You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for coming in and briefing us. I apologize for my tardiness. I was in Catonsville Courthouse with some of your officers, and they were incredibly respectful and really good at their job. So making my job a little harder. That's good. I just wanted to follow up because I apologize I was late, but you were talking about your drone program. We were briefed earlier this week in the Judiciary Committee on the drone program, the drone response program from Montgomery County. I think my entire committee was very, very impressed, thought put into that program. I would just suggest if you haven't already, you should probably talk to them about how they have handled it, especially with some of the regulations they deal with being in and around the Washington area, and how they handle all their stuff, because it seems as if they're doing a really, really good job, and I want Baltimore County to be doing even a better job.
Yes, sir. That's a great point. And just to let you know, we have been in contact with them. I've had discussions with current leadership down there and their former chief. And just to let you know that I have an aviation background, more than 10 years. So we're on top of that.
Great. Great.
Thank you, Delegate. And I see our last hand here, and probably time for the last question is the inimitable Delegate Alethea McCaskill. You have the floor, ma'am.
Oh, thank you, kind sir. So we can take this offline, Chief McCullough, but I did want to, I don't know, maybe it's because when Legislative Black Caucus yesterday did their press release, maybe because I was the first person on the media that folks decided to call, text, and email my office two specific things. It was reference to the Safer Stops bill, and I think it was Eric's Law that were the concerns from some Howard County, Prince George's County, and Maryland County Police. I just want to have an offline conversation with you, not so much as in opposition or in support of, but just your concerns or your take on what this language looks like around safer stops and the Eric's law, and what it would take for your for your agency to be prepared when it comes to those specific stops, because I got quite a few, include 6 as of this morning, calls from other jurisdictions, and I just wanted to get a homegrown opinion on what you thought about those 2. But my office probably, if they have not already, will be reaching out to you this morning.
Yes, ma'am. I look forward to that. And I did see that yesterday. And of course, you know that in Baltimore County, we have an equitable policing work group that for years now have centered around the issue of traffic stops and bias-based traffic stops. So we've been working on that issue, and I've personally been involved in researching this issue since 2002. So.
Well, thank you. All right. I don't see any more hands. Chief, we appreciate your honest answers and that you're come available. And I know that you're very interested in coming, and that is good news for us that we have the kind of transparency we need to be able to talk to you and ask you some questions and interact with you, because it's important for us to do our job well and for you to do yours well. With that, we're going to move into the business portion of our meeting, and Chief, you can stay on if you want, but I would fully understand if you don't want to stay for this very interesting part of the meeting. We've elected our officers. I'm going to have John put up the general guidelines that we have, and I'm not going to read them to you. They are on the Google Doc, and if you're having trouble understanding where the Google Doc is or how to access it, just come down the hall and ask him. He will absolutely help you with that. So highlights are, my general way of going about is to assume the meetings are going to be at 9 a.m. unless something really interferes. That way we don't have to fool with the time every single week. And I thought it was at 10. I thought it was at 9:30. So we'll expect them to be at 9 o'clock. The agenda is posted both on the general DLS website, also on the Instagram page, and at the same time you'll be sent one. And you can also find the agenda on the Google Doc as well, which is nice, because if we have changes to the agenda, we can change them in the Google Doc at the last minute. If you cannot avoid being absent, try to come down and let us know, let John know or me know, so we know we can plan accordingly. We have 20 members on the delegation. 11 represents a quorum. We'll start a meeting when we have 11. And if we're moving on a bill, 11 positive votes would be required to make it favorable, or 11 negative votes would be required to move unfavorable on it. For amendments, we've only ever required a simple majority of the quorum of delegates present. We still need a quorum, but it doesn't have to be the quorum of 20. We don't generally hold votes open for members that are not present. Please do not ask to be skipped when a vote comes to you. I do tend to mix up the order. I do it a little bit because I think that's fair. Sometimes we go backwards through the alphabet. I've never done anything as clever as starting in the middle of the alphabet, but you never know. I will warn ahead of time, of course. Once your bill has been read across on first reader, is the expectation that if you've submitted the bill, that you've also gotten yourself ready to testify it. So, for example, if it's read on first reader on Tuesday, we may bring it onto the agenda for testimony on Friday at the Friday meeting. You've all met John. John does have a phone number listed here. I'm not going to say it out loud here on the public, because I don't want other people calling John, and people can see this right now. And Charity, as I've introduced her as well, also has a DLS phone number and an email address that you can access fairly straightforward. We're trying to get as many bills done as we can when we're doing briefings. I'm trying to figure out what I wrote here. All right, we'll let that go. And the committee assignments, John, if you just quickly post the committee assignments, they have not been changed. No one has come to me and asked for a change. We have the same delegation as we had previously with the same chairs. I think John's trying to put it up. Are you doing that? Yeah, there it comes. Excellent. So but that's also accessible. But just for the look of it, there are the subcommittees that exist in ours. We have not collected dues. We are currently planning to stay online unless circumstances call for us to go. If we do that, then we can discuss if we want to have snacks and coffee. And if we want to have snacks and coffee, then it would be necessary for us to collect some money from you to make it possible for John to supply us with those. If that's not important, we can meet, but we'll cross that bridge when we actually feel like we may go live here in the delegation room, which is pretty close to being ready. But I looked at it the other day. It's still needs a little tidying up. And that's all I have. Are there any questions? Yes, Delegate McCaskill.
I'm on a roll this morning. Just for point of order, my name is Alethea. My family, my parents were in love. They are in love with vowels, obviously.
I remember that when I first asked you about that, you said your parents did. And is that the way we have it listed? Are you referencing the subcommittee assignments?
For public safety. If there's an E, Aletheia. Thank you.
We can accommodate you, ma'am, as we should. Thank you. I know that, but I didn't realize it was misspelled there, and we will actually absolutely correct that. Delegate Cardin.
I want to know if we have to laugh at the chair's jokes.
No, you can go on mute, and then I won't know. Okay. I'll just assume you're laughing if you're on mute. Okay, that's the way. It's pretty much the way I've operated my entire life. All right, with that, we move from the agenda. We've taken care of a couple of things here. We've had our briefing. I neglected to introduce somebody who we all know, but it's important that he comes on a regular basis. Tony Bazemore has been online and listening to us throughout, and he is our liaison with Baltimore County Schools, and he's highly responsive and very useful to us in that, and he comes regularly to meetings, so it's always good to have him here. And with that, we are going to move into a bill hearing. And for that, I see Robin Grammer's name up. I hope he's still listening in. House Bill 335, Baltimore County Nuisance Actions, Community Associations. Delegate Grammer. I'm crossing my fingers here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A quick note, I'm having some connection issues, but I have my phone available. If you can't hear me or I break up, just switch.
Great. Okay, I see what you're up to here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the delegation. Robin Grammer to present House Bill 335. House Bill 335 alters the qualifications used to determine standing for community associations when seeking judicial relief for nuisance actions in Baltimore County. This was originally Senator Sidnor's bill, which I went to sponsor in the House. It has passed both the House and the Senate, but not in the same year. This section of code was enacted in 1997 in response to growing problems of community blight in Baltimore County, but our county was one of several to put in place similar language. However, the current language of the section is prohibitive for functional use of the statute. Specifically, the household dues and bonding requirements under this code make the code impractical and out of step with how modern community associations work. Most communities have found it dysfunctional to have legitimate concerns dismissed for a lack of standing. The bill almost identically mirrors changes adopted by Baltimore City, which has found these provisions to be appropriate and effective. Baltimore County has problems with growing community blight. Most frequently, these deleterious issues are related to neglected properties, trash, and rats. One problematic factor can create a huge problem for a community. This bill has passed the full House in 2018. Full House 2019, the full a section of code that is referred to in the Baltimore County Code. That pluralization is the only change. And that, thanks for the opportunity to present House Bill 335. I'd be happy to take questions.
And thank you. And you are breaking up a little, so if there are questions, if you want to move over to your phone, we got most of what you said there. Are there any questions for Delegate Grammer on the bill? Okay. Seeing none, that ends the hearing on House Bill 335. Delegate Grammer, I thank you for presenting it to us. We will take this bill up at a future meeting for a vote. At this time, there's one more person that I need to introduce for the good of the order here. Jessica Claytman from Senator Van Hollen's office is here with us today as well. And she often attends, and we will probably be seeing Senator Van Hollen in a future meeting to come and talk to us as well. With that, I think our business is concluded. I thank you all very much. I want you to know that I'm wearing purple today. I hope on Monday when we all get, I see if you got purple, show it off here. That's right. Show off what you're doing there. We're all hoping for Ravens victory for 2 reasons. It's fun to have them win, and it means there's another game. And so I'm looking forward to that. For all of you, have a very pleasant weekend. It's going to get a little chilly, so take care of yourselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair.